Travelers can experience Central Asia's lake-scattered highland plateaus, magnificent mausoleum complexes, and bustling cities with Soviet architecture via the Silk Road. The term Silk Road conjures up Marco Polo and endless camel caravans from Beijing to Baghdad to the Venetian Lagoon. However, no clear trail existed. The Silk Road was a network of trade routes connecting China and Europe from the 2nd century BC to 1450. While these roads ran as far south as India and Southeast Asia, much of their commerce crossed cold passes and scorching deserts in Central Asia. As new warlords taxed caravans visiting their domain, routes shifted. Sometimes vicious brigands who stole silk, tea, ivory, and valuable metals and enslaved travelers posed peril. The region, especially the Central Asian Silk Road, has relics of the era. Few traders and travelers traveled from Europe to China because goods and gold changed hands many times along the Silk Road. Traveling the entire region would take longer than Marco Polo's 24-year, 13th century trek. Therefore, travelers today do smaller trips. The restored mosques and madrasas behind castle walls and Soviet-era architectural oddities of Uzbekistan attract history and architecture buffs. Snowy peaks and a proud nomadic heritage draw trekkers and mountaineers to Kyrgyzstan. Kazakhstan has some nice Silk Road relics and beautiful scenery, making it a good addition to any trip. One of the world's most epic road trips and the northern segment of the ancient Silk Road, described by Marco Polo in the 13th century, is mostly in Tajikistan, but access and safety issues limit visitors. Itinerary 1. Silk Road Cities. The towns of Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan, once important hubs for international trade and cultural exchange, are now hospitable havens for history buffs, complete with elaborate Islamic architecture and crumbling ruins. Days 1 to 3. After reaching Almaty, the capital of Kazakhstan, take a train to Turkestan, 13 to 17 hours, to visit Khoja Ahmed Yassaui's mausoleum. It is thought to be the first instance of the Timurid architectural style, which came to define the Silk Road and features elaborate tilework, several minarets, and domes. It dates to the late 14th century. Savor a half-day excursion to the partially uncovered ruins of Shan, a desert fortification dating back to the 10th century, located 25 miles northwest of Turkestan. Days 4 to 7. Go over the border to Tashkent, the capital of Uzbekistan. With almost 3 million residents, it's the largest city in Central Asia and a lovely metropolis with parks and fountains. One of the biggest madrasas in Central Asia dates back to the 18th century and was constructed as an Islamic school. Timur, the Turco-Mongol conqueror, brought the oldest surviving Quran in the world to Tashkent, and it is housed inside the adjacent 16th century Hazrati Imam complex. Travel by plane, bus, or train from Tashkent to Urgench, 3 hours/14 hours/15 hours. Then take a shared taxi to Khiva, 30 minutes, the best preserved fortified city along the Central Asian Silk Road. There is a lot of antique architecture in the 2,400-year-old Ichinkala Old Town. You could easily spend 2 days exploring the narrow lanes and climbing the tall minarets for views of the city. Days 8 to 12. Travel by train for 3 nights to Bukhara, 6 hours, and then continue to Samarkand, 1.5 hours by train. Samarkand is the more well-known of the 2 UNESCO-listed cities, but Bukhara's seamless fusion of the old and the new makes it the more alluring. Trade domes from the 16th century still stand next to nearly deserted synagogues, private residences, and bakers' shops. Don't miss the towering Registan, a plaza in the center of Samarkand that is home to 3 elaborately mosaiced madrasas and the Guri Amir, a mausoleum complex that houses the burial of ruler Timur, whose reign spanned from Aleppo to Delhi. A visit to the Shah-i-Zinda tomb complex, located on the outskirts of the old center, is highly recommended due to its vibrantly tiled facades. Days 13 to 14. Visit Timur's birthplace, Shahrazabs, after departing from Samarkand. Originally intended to serve as the capital of the Timurid Empire and the conqueror's final resting place, planning came to a standstill in 1405, when Timur unexpectedly passed away during a military expedition. It is a small, traditional village now. The renovated Chuban Madrasa, which was once a mosque, is now a museum honoring the dictator and his empire, and it is located just past a contemporary statue of Timur. Itinerary 2. Soviet Legacy. For more than 50 years, the Soviet Union dominated a large portion of Central Asia, leaving behind a lasting physical and ideological legacy that is still evident in Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Uzbekistan, countries along the Silk Road. Days 1 to 2. Commence at Almaty and learn about the history of the capital of Kazakhstan during the Soviet era via the historical buildings and artwork. An escorted stroll with the organization, one of the greatest ways to find modernist mosaics and buildings from the imperial era across Almaty's historic center, is to go on a walk. Opened in 1951, the modernist menu Highland skating rink, days 3 to 6. Drive west to Bishkek in Kyrgyzstan, where a Lenin statue sits in the center of the city surrounded by Soviet architecture. Isigeta Sanatoria, a throwback to the Soviet-era hospital spa summer camps, is located just over an hour east of the city. Here, visitors can spend the night in run-down pastel blue dorms. Hikers can trek 3 miles round trip up the valley to a tiny waterfall, then return to the sanatoria's hot springs for a swim. Day 7 to 10. From Bishkek to Tashkent, Uzbekistan, it takes 9 hours by bus or shared taxi across Kazakhstan, or 1 hour and 20 minutes by plane. Reconstructed following a severe earthquake in 1966, Tashkent remains a prime example of Soviet modernism. Stroll past the brutalist exterior of Hotel Uzbekistan and the Islamic modernist dome of Korsu Bazaar after passing the stone monument to Courage Earthquake Memorial. Then go below ground to experience the Tashkent Metro's Soviet-era train carriages. Each of the Metro's 43 stations has a unique architectural design and artistic features, days 11 to 14. Travel for around 15 hours by automobile from Tashkent to the town of Nukus, which is located on the former Aral Sea shore, to cap off your tour in the far west of Uzbekistan. The Nukus Museum of Art, located in this isolated area, houses collector Igor Savitsky's exceptional collection of Soviet avant-garde art. Previously the fourth largest lake in the world, the Aral Sea was devastated by the Soviet Union's poor water management, turning it into a dust bowl that may now be explored in a 4x vehicle to view the wreckage of abandoned ships. Itinerary 3: Mountains and Outdoor Adventure. Put on trekking boots and make your way into the Tien Shan. The range that separates Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan is known as the Heavenly Mountains, and it lives up to its name with views of snow-capped peaks that are heavenly. Every ability level can find adventure here. Days 1 to 4. Hiking through winding gorges and among towering red rock formations, the 93-mile Cheren Canyon may be reached in 3 hours by car from Kazakhstan's mountainous city of Almaty. An excellent starting point for exploring the Kolzay Lakes is the mountain settlement of Sadi. 5 to 8. Proceed to Karakol, which was established as a military station in 1869 after crossing into Kyrgyzstan. Hostels that serve hordes of trekkers are now dotted among its wooden houses. The most popular trip in Kyrgyzstan is a 3-day hike to Alakul Lake, which rises to 3,900 meters for breathtaking views of the lake from the Alakul Pass. Days 9 to 11. Take a hike around Isyk Lake while lodging at Beltan or Field Nomad, 2 nearby yurt camps. Take a guided stroll through Baybusan Nature Reserve to support conservation efforts, or walk the short distance of 1 mile to reach Ishadali Panorama. Days 12 to 14. Proceed to the stunning Song Kol Lake, which is 3,015 meters away. From Kizart, 45 miles west of Kakhur, you can hike or horseback trek there in 1 to 2 days, or you can drive up in around 4 hours from Kakhur on the western side of Isyk. Enjoy a solitary horseback ride across the meadows for the entire day near the lake. If you enjoyed this adventure, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our next exploration. Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you.